The difference between a scene and a reply is usually just one word you're too afraid to delete. The digital tightrope. Why we're all terrified of this send button. In the modern dating landscape, the smartphone is both our greatest weapon and our most treacherous enemy. We carry our entire social lives in our pockets, yet when it comes to the person we actually care about, we freeze. We stare at that blinking cursor as if it's a ticking time bomb. The fear isn't just rejection, it's something much more visceral in the age of screenshots and group chats. The fear of being cringe. Being cringe is the ultimate social death sentence for the American Gen Z and millennial. It's that skin-crawling sensation of having tried too hard, cared too much, or, heaven forbid, sent a double text that went unanswered for 6 hours. But what if the secret to texting your crush wasn't about playing a game of emotional poker? What if not being cringe was actually a science of calibration, psychology, and a little bit of tactical restraint? The psychology of the cringe reflex. To fix your texting game, you have to understand why we feel cringe in the first place. Evolutionarily, humans are wired to seek social belonging. In the past, being the weirdo in the tribe meant you were left out in the cold. Today, that translates to the ick. When you text a crush, you are essentially performing a high-stakes social audition. Most people fail this audition because they violate the law of equal investment. If they send you a 2-word, "Hey lol," and you respond with a 3-paragraph analysis of your day, you've created an investment deficit. You are over-delivering value to someone who hasn't earned it yet. That imbalance is the literal definition of cringe. The power of tactical brevity. The most attractive thing you can communicate via text isn't a witty joke or a profound observation. It's the fact that you have a life outside of the conversation. The 70% rule. Always aim to contribute about 70% of the effort your crush is giving. The wait and see method. If you're feeling an impulse to send a follow-up text because they haven't replied, put the phone in another room. The anxiety you feel is a craving for validation. Don't let them see the hunger. Breaking the hey cycle. If your opening line is, "Hey, what's up?" or the dreaded, "How's your day?" you are already losing. These are low-effort prompts that put the work of the conversation on the other person. To avoid being cringe, you must provide a hook. Think of a text like a movie trailer. You don't want to show the whole film, but you need enough action to make them want to buy a ticket. The "saw this and thought of you" pivot. This is the gold standard of non-cringe texting. It provides a reason for the text that exists outside of your own desire to talk to them. "I just saw a dog that looked exactly like your profile picture, and I'm concerned for your safety." It's specific, it's a bit teasing, and most importantly, it's low pressure. It gives them a way into the conversation without feeling like they have to interview you. The art of the slow burn. One of the biggest mistakes American daters make is trying to close the deal too fast over text. Texting is not for deep emotional bonding. It is a bridge to get to the next in-person interaction. When you try to have the talk or express deep feelings via iMessage, you strip away the nuance of body language and tone. This is where the cringe lives, in the vacuum of misinterpreted emojis. Pro tip: if a text conversation starts getting deep or heated, be the one to pull the plug. "I have thoughts on this, but I'd rather tell you over a drink so I can see your reaction." This move does 3 things. It stops the digital bleeding, it creates the gap, curiosity, and it sets up a real-life date. When to use and burn the emojis. Emojis are the seasoning of the digital world. Use too many and the dish is inedible. Use none and you come across as a Victorian ghost or an angry boss. The cringe threshold for emojis is usually 3. If you find yourself using a string of laughing, crying emojis to prove you're joking, you're trying too hard. Trust your words. If your joke is funny, they'll know. If it isn't, no amount of yellow icons will save you. The dry text strategy. Sometimes less is more. A well-placed period at the end of a sentence can communicate confidence and main character energy. In a sea of people using exclamation points to seem nice, being the one who is calm and composed stands out. The double text myth. Let's settle this once and for all. Is double texting cringe? The answer is only if the energy is different. Sending a "did you see my last text" is the height of cringe. It screams insecurity. However, sending a completely unrelated, high-value text 24 hours later is often fine. It signals that you're not dwelling on the silence. You've simply moved on to the next interesting thing. Summary: the not cringe checklist. Before you hit send on that message that's been sitting in your drafts for 20 minutes, run it through this mental filter. At the end of the day, cringe is just a symptom of lack of confidence. When you are truly comfortable with who you are, your texts reflect a sense of ease. You aren't calculating every syllable because you know that if this person doesn't get your vibe, someone else will. The goal of texting your crush isn't to trick them into liking you. It's to open a window into your world and see if they want to step inside. So put down the rules for a second, stop overthinking the ha 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 versus LOL, and just be 10% more daring than you were yesterday. The worst case scenario isn't a screenshot in a group chat. The worst case scenario is never sending the text at all and wondering what if for the next 6 months. If you want to master the digital psychology of modern dating and never let a red receipt ruin your week again, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking down the unspoken rules of the game every week, so you can stop overthinking and start connecting.